The LA City Attorney's Office and LAPD are honored for dismantling 3 hideouts for the notorious San Fernando Valley Peckerwoods Gang, a criminal group with ties to the Aryan Brotherhood prison organization. The homes were located near schools in Granada Hills and Canoga Park.
It eliminates a place for them to organize, plot crime, and commit crime. I think all 3 of these locations were used for sales of methamphetamine. So it definitely removes an element of the San Fernando Valley Peckerwoods from that neighborhood.
Also honored, law enforcement from Riverside, Orange, and San Diego counties. 100-year-old Joseph Sherwood, originator of the Sherwood Prize, was there with his family. The Anti-Defamation League hosts this award gala every year.
Our premise has always been about fighting anti-Semitism and bigotry of all kinds. We're the folks that wrote the hate crimes laws. We then became the folks that train law enforcement how to enforce hate crimes laws.
And that's what today is about, is identifying collaborations that can make all our communities safer, and particularly by targeting those who would use hate to divide us from each other. Congratulations to all the honorees. From the Skirball Cultural Center, I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Also honored was Deputy Yadira Perez, a Latino cop who helped nab a Muslim mosque arsonist in Riverside County. But there's more to policing than just enforcing the law. LAPD officers have found that making friends in some South LA communities can go a long way in solving and preventing crime. And now their successful community safety partnership is about to expand. Anna Marcos has more.
Community Safety Partnership, it's a long name for a program that's gone a long way in saving some Watts neighborhoods from the most violent crimes. Instead of putting officers in communities to make arrests, the LAPD sends in police to make friends with the neighbors.
I do single-person foot beats through the developments myself, whereas 7 years ago, I couldn't do that. You'd have to go in there with a few other units.
Nearby communities without the program, like Harvard Park, are not so lucky.
Just in 1 month, we had 30 shootings, 15 of which were homicides. A handful of them were in and around this park.
The Community Safety Partnership is a joint effort by police, the Housing Authority of the City of LA, Recreation and Parks, and other city agencies to work with residents to solve crimes and build stronger communities. It was born in public housing developments in Watts and East LA 6 years ago, and it's been so successful it will now expand for the first time outside a public housing project to a South LA neighborhood.
Today we are here to announce the beginning stages of a 5-year expansion of our Community Safety Partnership to the Harvard Park neighborhood.
The ultimate goal of the Community Safety Partnership is not the 11 officers that will be assigned to this area. It is that we create a community that is so strong on its own that we don't have to have police officers here.
It's a win-win for both residents and officers.
And in turn, the officers had built up enough relationship to help solve crime within the community, and the responsibility became everyone's, not just the police officers.
I'm a resident, I'm a parent, my kids skate in the park right in the back here. It's been a long time that we've been waiting for something to be done here in this community.
But a word of advice to residents, it's up to them to make it work.
This is not something that's being handed to you. You have to co-write this script.
But the residents have their Watts neighbors as proof that the program really can turn neighborhoods around. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The expanded Community Safety Partnership is being funded by the LAPD as well as the Balmer and Weingart Foundations. And another successful partnership welcomed a new facility in South LA that will help keep people off the streets and provide much-needed housing services. Rasha Goel has more.
Since January 2014, in just the city of Los Angeles alone, we have housed nearly 24,000 unhoused people. 24,000.
And in continuing the effort to help the homeless community in Los Angeles, city officials and community members recently celebrated the grand opening of a brand new facility, the Broadway Manchester Service Center.
It's going to provide services for the homeless and those that are in need throughout the South Los Angeles area.
The center is a collaboration between St. Joseph Center and First to Serve, a nonprofit organization that provides substance abuse help and supportive housing facilities located throughout Los Angeles.
South Los Angeles has one of the highest concentrations of people experiencing homelessness in Los Angeles. 7,500 people at our last count. And most of them, the overwhelming majority, are on our streets. 5,700 people. That's one moment. It doesn't count everybody who falls into homelessness on an annual basis, probably 2 or 3 times that number.
Services at this facility include housing, vouchers for housing emergency shelter services, and much more.
It has to happen out there on the street, and once we coax somebody off the street, it has to happen in a place that makes them feel like they're human beings again. And that's what this is all about.
And this is one of the many projects the City of Angels is taking flight on as it addresses the homeless issue of Los Angeles. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
Recently, LA voters passed Measure H, which hikes the countywide sales tax by 1/4 cent to pay for homeless services and funds efforts to prevent people from becoming homeless. But for those people who remain homeless on our streets, one organization is already bringing dignity and hope to those who need it most. Anna Marcos has more from downtown LA.
These mobile showers on wheels just made their big debut in town. And Jose Ruiz, for one, looks pretty psyched to try them out.
Welcome. It's a nice shower.
Another big shower lover, Maureen Olivier.
I feel clean. You know, you're out in the street. It's terrible. It's cleanliness against godliness, you know. You get clean clothes, you get your hair washed, and I like cleanliness. If I had my way, I'd be able to stay 2 hours in this shower.
The shower truck is run by a group called Lava May. It makes the rounds in areas like downtown, South LA, and Venice, bringing showers to about 40 homeless residents a day.
I'm here because I'm homeless. I stop here for breakfast and showers. It's very relaxing.
Each guest gets a clean towel and a bag of care products. Let's see what's in here. There's shampoo, toothpaste, toothbrush, all kinds of goodies.
Health and hygiene is such a huge need here in our community.
Here's Jose Ruiz coming back out. So fresh from his shower, he can't help but play a little Valero ball. And boy, do these guests get the star treatment. The showers and toilets are cleaned and made to sparkle like new after each use. Oh, and the service includes lots of hugs.
But that's what we call radical hospitality. Radical hospitality is about treating everybody with dignity and really, I think, showing them love.
I feel very good. It's comfortable.
As for Jose Ruiz, well, he's now got quite a spring in his step and apparently in his game.
You feel better and you're healthier. You want to do more for yourself.
The shower is something new. So definitely, I could always use a shower.
And now something the rest of us take for granted is giving homeless guests plenty of suds, mixed with a little TLC. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
Well, Lava May is always looking for volunteers and donations, especially socks, underwear, and pants. For more information, visit lavamay.org. Well, turning now to parking issues at one of LA's beloved destinations, Griffith Park. And if you've visited lately, then you know it's getting harder and harder to park. That's why city bus service has expanded full-time. Gil Reyes has more from Griffith Observatory. Gil.
Well, Yana, this very popular bus service that takes you all the way up here to the Griffith Observatory and also the nearby Greek Theater has been around for a little while now, but was only available on weekends. Now it will be available all week long, giving people who come up here more options. Alexandra Perlowski loves visiting Griffith Observatory and the nearby hiking trails, but absolutely hates the drive coming up. Finding a parking space can be tough, even on less crowded weekdays.
It was insane. I had to drive around multiple times. There was so much traffic. It was crazy.
To the rescue, LA Department of Transportation Dash buses. The Dash now stops at the observatory and the nearby Greek Theater every day. Buses leave from the Metro Red Line station at Sunset and Vermont about 3 miles downhill.
That sounds amazing. I would take it all the time.
We're going to run a dash bus from that stop all the way up to 10 p.m. every night of the week. Every 20 minutes, a dash bus will be leaving that stop and coming up into the park.
And we keep our fares affordable. If you use your tap card, it's 35 cents, which is a screaming deal.
Officials hope the service will inspire more people to use public transit instead of drive here. Area Councilman David Rue has plans to further reduce congestion.
We have also been working with many other partners, including the Ford Theater and the county, to provide additional options for viewing points of the Hollywood sign, which will help reduce and relieve traffic to the residential communities.
Mayor Eric Garcetti pushes for more green space citywide so people from far away won't have to drive to Griffith Park just to experience a little nature.
Our goal is by 2035, 3/4 of all Angelenos will live within walking distance of a park. And those who don't will have easier access through programs like our dash buses and a historic partnership with our school district to ensure that maybe we can get even above that 3/4 and close to 100% of people. I believe all people should have a park within walking distance.
Outside the Griffith Observatory, where you don't need a car to get here. I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Griffith Park Dash service runs from noon to 10 p.m. on weekdays, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. on weekends. Well, turning now to pedestrian fatalities. They're on the rise this year in many parts of LA, and that's got undercover cops out on the street working to put the skids on pedestrian motorist collisions. Anna Marcos has more on the traffic enforcement operation.
Motorists and pedestrians alike, watch out. These plainclothes cops are posing as pedestrians, and they're on the look for those who disobey traffic laws after a rise in pedestrian fatalities. Last year, the Valley saw 33 people on foot killed, but this year, the first 2 months alone have seen 11 pedestrian fatalities, an increase of 200%.
And when a driver's traveling 40 miles an hour, there's an 80% chance of death.
This undercover operation is taking place in one of the 40 highest priority intersections in the city, and 4 of them are right here in the Valley.
What we're looking for are the drivers that don't stop and yield the right-of-way to them as they're crossing the street.
If the pedestrians are not obeying the rules of the road, they will be cited just as the drivers will be cited because each person has a responsibility.
Department of Transportation workers are also on the joint operation because sometimes the street has to be engineered to make it safer for pedestrians.
The first thing we look at is to see if there's been a pattern of other types of fatalities or crashes at that intersection. Maybe it was related to lighting, or maybe it was because the traffic speeds are higher.
Here are some tips. If you're a motorist, slow down. Stay alert at both marked and unmarked intersections. Look in all directions and no texting or phone use. If you're a pedestrian, look before you cross. Proceed slowly. Make sure the driver sees you. Cross only at marked or unmarked intersections and stay off texting and phones as well.
In the traffic collision, a pedestrian always loses. You're going up against a very heavy vehicle.
Lucky for these perpetrators, today is focused more on education. But next time, instead of a warning, they might get a citation or worse. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
And by the way, even pedestrians can get fines of more than $100. While the city is on a mission to fill up potholes. January alone saw 3,700 requests for repairs, more than quadrupling the usual amount. As Gil Reyes reports, new computer tablets are helping to fill those craters in record time.
Following heavy rains and the damage they've caused, the city declares war on potholes. Bureau of Street Services supervisors like Alan Ginger have new technology in their arsenal before heading to the combat zone.
This is the best thing that's happened since I've been working for the city. And I've worked for the city 31 years.
You might call these weapons of mass reconstruction. All 24 Bureau of Street Services supervisors are equipped with these Android tablets. They help detect potholes citywide as soon as possible. In fact, the agency says it now repairs them within 3 days or less, whereas it used to take a week, sometimes more.
The tablets work by receiving tips from us, the public. Increasingly, people are reporting potholes through the city's My LA 311 app on their smartphones.
And then we can put the location in, details of it, contact information if you want it to be sent back to you so that you know it's been done or when it's been done. You can put a photo and you can add comments so that we can find it much easier. Sometimes our reaction time might be 10 or 15 minutes from when it came in, and then people will come out and say, I just put it in. And then, it feels good.
In a previous system, on a Tuesday morning, a street maintenance supervisor would print out yesterday's pothole service requests and go out in the field with a stack of these, inspect the potholes, write down notations on here, and then have to come back to the desktop PC at the end of the day to type these notations back in the database.
Not anymore with these faster, portable tablets, which also reduce paper waste. The technology comes courtesy of the Mayor's Innovation Fund. And other city agencies making repairs out in the field are headed towards the same system.
So we've been working with sanitation. They have a system where they're delivering the same types of services. We're also in the process of getting this technology to the Department of Transportation as well as Recreation and Parks. We want to have a digital mobile workforce that is very connected to the needs of those who live in LA.
Filling potholes and other requests almost as fast as you can report them. In Cypress Park, I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Report potholes or any other street problems through the My LA 311 app. The app is free and available on Apple and Android devices. What is a her story, or artivism for that matter? A group of Latino women artists is creating not only new words, but a new idea of sharing art. Ana Marcos takes in the new exhibit at La Plaza de la Cultura on Alvera Street.
They are known as Mujeres de Maíz, women of the corn. They are women of color, and their mission in life is to share their art and bring creativity and healing to those they share it with.
The painting that I'm standing in front of is mine, and it's called Madre Celestial. She's beautiful, she's transparent, she's covered with the sky, the moon is above her head, the earth is a part of her body, she's balanced.
The group's exhibit at La Plaza de Cultura y Artes looks back on 20 years of sharing what its members called artivism and herstory, art activism and sharing the history of female stories, especially those of Latinas.
We like to say that anybody can be Mujeres de Maíz. It's a movement, it's an energy. This exhibition today is celebrating 20 years of artistic, cultural production, of spiritual knowledge and healing and sisterhood.
And you won't just look at art on the walls. The women artists create live murals and hold workshops, performances, and demonstrations on everything from art to dance to music to the spiritual arts.
I'm personally involved and I'm going to be doing a paint and tea night, so I'm going to be teaching basic painting and we're going to serve some tea.
We have a lot to explore here, both for kids and for families, adults as well. Most of it's free.
The Mujeres de Maíz exhibit runs through May 29th. I'm Ana Marcos for LA This Week.
For more information on performance schedules and exhibit hours, just visit the website on your screen. 500 seniors had the chance to test out their dance moves at a recent celebration held at the LA Hotel in downtown LA. Rasha Goel has more on this yearly event that honors seniors.
Seniors from Los Angeles recently danced to some old and favorite tunes at the 10th Annual Senior Snowball, a winter formal dance and luncheon celebrating the seniors of LA.
We thank them for giving us the love and all that stuff they've done for us throughout the years. It's also our time to celebrate our senior veterans, those who have served in the armed forces, and we give them a little special recognition each and every year when we have this event.
The event, sponsored by the 14th District, was held for seniors from 22 senior clubs in downtown Los Angeles, Boyle Heights, El Sereno, Highland Park, Eagle Rock, and Gliselle Park.
It enhances relationship between the varied communities here in Los Angeles. This is something good.
Classical music is very good. The camaraderie is good. And I'm able to have some kind of a rapport with people and find out what's been going on with my friends.
But the one-day event extends beyond just dancing. It gives seniors an opportunity to engage and socialize.
Meet up with new people, learn new skills, talk to one another about things of life and what one can do to support one another.
For many, it was a few hours of some music and fun, along with creating memorable moments. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
Mayor Eric Garcetti takes steps to safeguard Owens Valley communities from flooding as snowpack levels begin to melt. City leaders call on state legislators to move forward with a transportation plan, and another Metrolink station will soon be connecting even more commuters to their final destinations. All these stories in City Beat. Mayor Eric Garcetti has declared a local state of emergency to protect the lands and communities near the Los Angeles Aqueduct from flooding, as this year's historic Eastern Sierra snowpack begins to melt into the Owens Valley. This year's snowpack in the Eastern Sierras is 241% above normal, and once spring sets in, the LADWP expects the snowmelt to send up to 1 million acre-feet of runoff into the Owens Valley. This runoff, nearly twice the amount of water Angelenos use in a year, will likely threaten local communities, hydroelectric power plants, and dust mitigation infrastructure in Owens Lake, with destructive flooding. The emergency declaration will trigger city rules that will enable LADWP to act quickly in response to the threat and begin the process of requesting assistance from the state and federal governments.
When we see a potentially disastrous situation coming, a situation that could hurt our economy, our families, and our environment, we don't wait. We get out in front of it.
The mayor also gathered with State Transportation Secretary Brian Kelly and other elected officials, along with labor, transportation, and business groups at Pershing Square to urge state legislatures to pass a transportation funding package by April 6th, the last day of the legislative session before lawmakers go on spring recess. The transportation funding plan, which has been plagued by delays, would bring much-needed repairs to California's roads, bridges, and highways. City officials say it's time to act now.
Our roads have been neglected to the point where deterioration is accelerating at an alarming pace, and recent storms have made the situation worse. Before we can have a conversation about maintaining our streets, we have to deal with the roads that need to be entirely reconstructed.
Construction of a $15 million Burbank Airport North Metrolink station got underway at the northwest corner of Hollywood Way and San Fernando Boulevard, with completion slated for the spring of 2018. Officials say this project will provide a better, faster, and more seamless rail connection between Burbank Airport and the Metrolink commuter rail system. The station, located between the Sun Valley and downtown Burbank stations, will be on Metrolink's Antelope Valley line. The airport is already served by a station on Metrolink's Ventura County line. Both of those lines serve Union Station in downtown Los Angeles. Some lucky daughters and fathers came together to bond over tea and goodies as the 5th annual Father-Daughter Tea kicked off. Ana Marcos shows us the deeper meaning behind the festive party.
It all looks so pretty in pink, as more than 100 dads took some girl time out with their daughters for the Father-Daughter Tea.
Fathers have the opportunity to really engage in conversation, see how their daughters are doing, and check in with them. And so something that they can do at home. They will not have to go to some fancy restaurant. They can sit right in their front yard.
It's just a time for fathers and daughters to get together and build their relationship.
This is the 5th annual Father-Daughter Tea put on by a group called Project Fatherhood. Sure, there's fingernail painting. Some of the dads even try to enjoy that. Then there's tiaras, tea, coloring, drawing, picture taking, and lots of time for TLC.
Well, for me, I like drinking the tea. My daughter, she loves getting her nails done.
But Project Fatherhood also has a more serious mission to help dads in the inner city, many who have never had good role models themselves, get back in touch with their children.
I'm here with my 2 little beautiful daughters. They're Mary Jane and Selena. They're 3 years old, doing decorations and having fun, having a little tea party.
Many of these fathers were really beat down growing up, whether by parents, whether by the social system, they were beat down negatively.
But today, all was positivity and fun. And what a fantasy day for these little girls time with Dad, and a new dress. Wow! The girls also got a chance at a bike raffle, and all of them got an American Girl doll and a tea set, which means the girls can now invite Dad to a tea party at home anytime. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The toys were donated by Mattel and other toy companies. Project Fatherhood, by the way, also holds father-son bowling and father-family hiking events to help dads bond with their families. I'll learn all about the artwork inside the Metro rail system. History comes alive at the Waddles Mansion and helps celebrate Earth Day in Toluca Lake. All this in this week's Things to Do. Metro Art Moves is a free series of regularly scheduled and special tours of art walk in the Metro rail system. Regular tours are led by trained Metro Art Docent Council volunteers and provide insights into the artworks, artists, and art-making processes. Special tours heighten the passenger experience in novel and engaging ways through the perspective, experience, and knowledge of artists and cultural experts. Tours are free and reservations are not required. See the tours in action on April 1st from 10 to 12 p.m. beginning at the Hollywood Highland Metro Station. For more, visit metro.net. The spring of 2017 marks the second year of the Waddles Mansion Designer Showcase. The theme will demonstrate through interior design how to reinterpret a historic home for today's contemporary lifestyle. The title of this year's showcase is Hollywood History, the New Classics. The Waddles Mansion was built in 1908 and was the original home of famous financier Gurdon Waddles, who bankrolled much of early Hollywood. Today, the residence, owned by the City of Los Angeles Department of Recreation and Parks, comprises the only remaining example of a pre-film industry Hollywood estate. The showcase takes place through April 16th. For more information, visit waddlesshowcase.com. The Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council is hosting its 6th annual Earth Day celebration featuring Taste of Toluca. Bring the entire family and enjoy the Kids Corner. Engage with environmental booths and taste the amazing food while listening to live entertainment. Shop local merchants and contribute to the environment by adopting a tree. The event will take place at the Toluca Lake Farmers Market behind the Wells Fargo building on Riverside and Foreman on Sunday, April 2nd from 10 to 2 p.m. And that's a look at some things to do. Well, that's going to do it for this edition. I'm Yana Kane from all of us here at LA This Week. Thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
Good morning, good morning. Today is Wednesday, March 29th. I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to the Los Angeles City Council. This council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m., and the public is welcome. So, Mr. Clerk, we have a quorum. Would you call the roll?
Blumenfield, Bonabusca, Cedillo, Englander, Harris, Dawson, Weezer, Carrasco, Corrigan, Martinez, Rafael, Price, Rue, Wesson, 12 members present, and a quorum, Mr. President.
And if you have not turned off your cell phone, you may want to do that. I just forgot to turn mine off. Okay, let's go through the agenda. First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Price moves, Martinez seconds. Next.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Krikorian moves, Harris Dawson seconds. That brings us where?
Mr. President, there is a request from the Department of Planning and the City Attorney to continue item 5 to Friday, March 31st.
Okay, so without objection, so ordered.
Very good. That brings us to item 1. It's an item noticed for public hearing, and we do have cards on that matter.
Okay, then continue.
Items 2 through 15 are items for which public hearings have been held. A report from the Economic Development Committee has also been submitted for item 2 and has been posted and circulated for council's consideration.
Okay, well, why don't we vote on those? Why don't we hold number 2 and we will vote on the remaining items. Let's open the roll. Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That brings us where?
Items 16 through 30 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, so without objection, those items are now before this body. Do you have cards?
Yes, sir. Cards on all items.
Okay, then let's move on to the next set of agenda items.
Mr. President, that brings us to items 31 through 36. They're items scheduled for closed session. Would you like to hold them on the desk?
I'm going to defer to Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Items 31 through 36 are routine settlements. All have been considered by Budget and Finance, which recommends approval of the City Attorney's recommendations. That can be done in open session unless members have questions or concerns.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, why don't you go through these items and we will vote on them.
Very good, sir. Item 31, in the case entitled Cesar Carvajal versus City of Los Angeles and Luis Monreal, there is a recommendation to expend $1.2 million in settlement over fiscal years 2016-17 and 2017-18. For item 32, in the case entitled Cesar Octavio Otera versus City of Los Angeles et al., there is a recommendation to expend $400,000 in settlement over fiscal years 2016-17 and 2017-18. For item 33, in the case entitled Global Vision Systems, Inc. versus City of Los Angeles, there is a recommendation to issue a refund in the amount of $144,000 of its claim for refund of business taxes. For item 34, in the case entitled Iola Props and Greg Eady versus City of Los Angeles et al., there is a recommendation to expend $2 million in settlement over fiscal years 2016-17 and 2017-18. For item 35, in the case entitled Janet Kahn versus City of Los Angeles, there is a recommendation to expend $250,000 in settlement. And for item 36, in the case entitled Regina Sweeney versus City of Los Angeles, there is a recommendation to expend $350,000 in settlement over fiscal years 2016-17 and 2017-18.
Okay, so there are no speakers. Let's prepare to vote on these items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, that brings us where?
Mr. President, that takes council back to presentations.
Okay, why don't we do, as we're preparing for presentations, why don't we jump into item number 2? So why don't I ask Mr. Liu to come forward? So I'm going to look to Mr. Price, and Mr. Blumenfield to see if you'd like to maybe help start this off. Then we could hear from Mr. Liu.
Thank you, Mr. President. We are just excited to welcome Mr. Liu to the Convention Center. He's certainly no stranger to City Hall, no stranger to serving this community, just leaving an extraordinary stretch of service with the port. And so we're excited about the background, training, skills, and experiences that he's going to bring along with the collaborative leadership as we, further expand the Convention Center successfully and really help it to take its place as a real economic engine in the city. And so he was approved unanimously, Mr. President, by our committee. We are certainly excited with his nomination this morning and support it wholeheartedly. After my colleague speaks, I think we should give him a chance to say a few words.
Okay, Mr. Blumenfield.
Just wanted to say we had Mr. Liu at IGTCT committee, and we really we thoroughly vetted him. We asked him some really tough questions. He had been with the port, so we were very familiar with his work, and we scrutinized it pretty heavily. But because he's such a stranger to the city, if you look at his background, he's one of these people that nobody has ever heard of before. Obviously, it's just the opposite. He has been a stalwart member of the city family in many different capacities, and he went through swimmingly in the committee, and we unanimously recommended him after a few questions, and I urge an aye vote.
Okay, now I want to call on Mr. Buscaino.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too want to rise in support of this recommendation from both committees and Mayor Garcetti's as appointee to the Convention Center. And Doan, as Mr. Blumenfield mentioned, is no stranger to the city. I had the great privilege of bringing him on as my first chief of staff here when I landed the seat in 2012. And Doan, as I mentioned in committee, you took me under your wing and showed me around. But what I loved about you and you leading our team was finding a way to get to yes and bringing everyone to the table, finding compromise. And I was sorry to lose you as a deputy mayor to the mayor's office, but you blossomed there as well. And then when I found out that Gene Shiroka took you on as a deputy executive director of the Port of Los Angeles, we gave you some marching orders, and the marching order was to sign a lease agreement at the new Ports of Call development, and you did. You shepherded that lease agreement, where today has been a ripple effect on investment coming to the LA and San Pedro and Wilmington waterfront. You also put together a comprehensive commercial real estate policy at the Port of Los Angeles. So as future developments come to the Wilmington and San Pedro waterfront, it will be treated as such, as a commercial development, and bring in hospitality jobs, retail, commercial jobs along our waterfront. Similar, not to the point where we're moving goods on the land side, of bringing these types of jobs, diversifying the jobs. You're very instrumental also with Altasea and moving forward with our ENA $3 million grant. So you do have the skills and knowledge, the ability to run offices, to run departments, and I'm really proud of the fact that you are at this level now as a general manager of a department that we so value in this city, of bringing more conventions to the city, and partnering with AEG. So Doan, I congratulate you. I thank you for your guidance, your mentorship, and your friendship. And I know you're not going far, and I know your family is here, and they are so proud of your ongoing accomplishments. And to Chris and your kids, who I know you value as much as you value your service to the city, congratulations, and looking forward to working with you at this level. And to see a proud Korean American at this level as well is pretty exciting, as we value diversity in our general managers here throughout the city. So congratulations, Doan, and looking forward to working with you.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Bonnet.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too rise to support Doan's appointment. You are probably the most qualified appointee that we have seen at this table in a very long time. I was talking with you a little bit earlier on my way down, Mr. President. I was trying to count the number of positions that I recall Doan having served in, working for City Attorney Jim Hahn, for Mayor Jim Hahn, for Councilwoman Janice Hahn, for Councilman Joe Buscaino, for Mayor Eric Garcetti, at the port, and now this position. And of course, I got to know you when you worked for Jane Harmon, and you maintained the status of president of the informal Jane Harmon Alumni Association, which is as large as some small cities. And when you worked for Google as well, in between terms in government. So I'm just very excited that you have come back downtown from what I think was your dream job down there at the port, and are willing to continue to serve the city. We're very, very grateful to have you. And I anticipate before this council meeting is over, you'll be Instagramming a photo from Chambers.
You missed one. You missed one job.
You know, Mr. Bonin, before I call on the next speaker, you said something, and I just want to take a moment. You talked about a dream job. And for those of us that know Doan, we know that this is, he's a San Pedro guy from the port. That was his dream job. But there's something to be said about an individual that is a public servant. And when his city called, a public servant will answer the call. And that's what you've done, Doan. You know we need some help in an area, and for you willing to give up a job that you waited on forever to help the city, I think says volumes about the type of individual you are and how we as a city are fortunate to have you. So when Mr. Bonin said dream job, I just felt that I wanted to pop off for a moment. So Mr. Rue.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise because I full-heartedly support this appointment, and I am very, very excited. And sorry to Councilman Joe Buscaino, I know he's losing you at the ports, but I am very excited because you will be now taking over the LA Department of Convention and Tourism Development. And I know we've had many talks, and I've also spoken with the mayor, and this is why I was so excited and thank the mayor for your appointment, because I know we're going to be working on tourism. The tourism aspect, how tourism is one of our largest, it is the largest industry for our economy in Los Angeles, but it's also at the same time, we want to do it in the right way where both the tourists have a good time and a good experience here in Los Angeles, as well as the surrounding neighborhoods also have a good experience. So I'm very excited looking forward to working with you. I know you know the city inside out, so we're going to expand the tourism department and make sure it serves all residents in the city of Los Angeles as well as all visitors to Los Angeles. And lastly, as a Korean American, you are a pioneer. It's because of all the things that you've done in your career that has led the way for me to even be here. So thank you so much, Doan.
Mr. Englander.
Mike read off all the places I think you worked in the city. You're a survivor. You've been a friend since you've been here, and a friend, and I mean that. One of the smartest, friendliest people that I've ever worked with outside of my own office and staff. Never had the opportunity to have you on staff. You would have been a welcome addition to anyone. And we're a better city because you are an asset to us. And everybody said something nice about you. I'm going to point out one of your weaknesses. Yeah. Just coming off the row, so, I'm still in that mode. No, but there's only one of you. Because if you think about somebody we can never clone in this city, it would be you. Don't. Because of what you bring, just a freshness all the time. Always a great attitude and the ability to get anything done for anyone. So I'm just really delighted that you're not only staying, continuing on, but have yet another role in another chapter. So God bless you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Okay, so Mr. Blumenfield, I have you on here twice. I'm assuming that's just a little error. So, Mr. Liu, I'm going to give you want me to just call for the vote? It's your call.
Well, I would like the opportunity to thank you and to thank your colleagues for this opportunity, and also Mayor Garcetti for giving me this appointment. You're absolutely right. I am a public servant. I love this city, and I would take any position to give back to this great place that's done so much for me. So again, thank you very much.
Let's give him a round of applause. He does deserve it.
I look forward to working with each and every one of you in the coming years.
We are all very excited. All you have to do is look at the smile on Mr. Price's face, and that'll let you know how excited he is. So with that said, Madam Clerk, would you please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote?
14 ayes.
Okay, guess what? You
Thank you
got
very
the
much.
votes. All right, thanks, Don. Congratulations.
All right, turn the floor over for another special presentation by Councilmember Curran Price.
Thank you, Mr. President, members. Today we are here to highlight an important issue, National Crime Victim Rights Week, which will be observed April the 2nd through the 8th here in our city. This year's theme, Strength, Resilience, Justice, couldn't be more apropos. I'm going to turn it over to our City Attorney, Mike Fuhrer, who's going to talk about the City of Los Angeles' participation in this exciting program and resources that are going to be available to help our citizens. Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Price. So this program is one that we don't have a chance to highlight nearly enough. 37 years ago, the city assumed the responsibility for assisting victims of crime. That's almost, well, I guess Mr. Krikorian and the program are about the same age, actually. The program does remarkable work. It helps victims of crime receive restitution. It helps them receive needed benefits from the state. It connects them to community organizations that can help alleviate their suffering. It restores their dignity. This program is an essential element in our public safety team efforts here in the city because as we contemplate what it means to prosecute a criminal, we need to bear in mind that each time a crime was committed, there has been a victim who needs to be restored. We help in 21 locations throughout the city of Los Angeles, from police divisions to community-based social services organizations. To give you a sense of the magnitude of this program, in the last 3 years alone, we've assisted more than 23,000 victims of crime and helped them receive nearly $11 million of state assistance. We have special programs, too, and it's important for this council to know about them. We do particular outreach to the LGBTQ community. We have special programs to partner with victims of human trafficking. We deal with families of homicide victims. We help children exposed to trauma. We grapple with the issues confronting victims of domestic violence and elder abuse and other senior citizen-related crimes. And in a particularly poignant example of the current state of politics and as it affects victims of crime, I want to share with you, I was meeting with our victims assistance team just a few days ago. We have many of our team members who speak Spanish, and they're stationed in locations to help our immigrants, among others. It's extraordinary to learn that in this environment, our team reports that victims of crime aren't even coming forward to acknowledge they speak Spanish, let alone get the assistance they need. The precarious state of national affairs is having an impact on victims of crime here in Los Angeles. This program receives no general fund money. Instead, it's funded by millions of dollars that are received through grants for which we apply to the state. We're a subgrantee of the county as well. It also relies on private philanthropy. And I'm going to ask that we queue up now, it's I think about less than a minute and a half video that displays our new web-based case management system to make it particularly efficient and effective for victims of crime to be able to get the assistance they need. It's a program that is funded by a grant from Verizon, and I believe Joe Ruggiero, who's the Vice President and Assistant General Counsel of Verizon, is here. And we very much appreciate Verizon's assistance in bringing this program forward. Is it queued up? Video is being displayed to you, you can see how easy it is for one to navigate this system, how many languages this system is available to residents of our city online, and the importance that we place on making our Victim Assistance Program accessible to everyone. We appreciate the development of this program. It's developed by 3DI, and Mehir Desai, Vice President of Operations, and other team members, I believe, are here also. I'd like to acknowledge their work in helping create this program. I'd like to turn the program over to Derek Tennell. Derek leads this program. We have dozens and dozens of victims assistance team members available to help your constituents, council members, when they are victimized by crime, all very ably led by Derek. Derek?
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. First, I'd like to bring up Joe Ruggiero from Verizon to say a few words based on the grant they provided us to put together that wonderful system. Joe?
Thank you. It's an honor to be here to be recognized for Verizon's partnership with the city in this very important issue of domestic violence, supporting domestic violence victims. There are nearly 1 in 4 women, 1 in 7 men, and 3 million children affected in the U.S. every year. Since 2001, this has been a core focus for Verizon. We're so gratified for the folks at the City of LA and the nonprofit organizations that do all the work to support survivors of domestic violence. And I thank you again for this privilege.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. National Crime Victims' Rights Week is very important. It's important because it gives us the opportunity to raise awareness to victims' rights all across the nation. It's also important because we recognize the victims that we assist each and every day, and I think most importantly, we honor the folks that go out and help these victims all across the country. Today I have my staff assembled here, and I'd like to recognize those folks. These are the individuals that go out, the women and men that help victims across the city each and every day, and they're made up of our victim advocates, our claims verifiers, and the supervisors they report to. So if I can have them stand for just a quick second to recognize them. In honor of National Crime Victims' Rights Week, the Victim Assistance Program has organized a community event which is going to take place on Wednesday, April 5th, and at St. Raphael's Church, that's in Council District number 8. And we are going to invite folks to come out. The name of the event is The Undocumented Community, the Impact of Increased Immigration Enforcement. We want to make sure that everybody comes out and supports that event regardless of where you live in the city. And it's going to be an exciting event, so we've worked real hard to put that together. At this opportunity, I'd like to turn over to the City Attorney for one last presentation. Thank you.
So I'd like to ask Kathy Colombon to come forward, please. Is she here?
Yes, she is.
Just want to acknowledge, in the city family, we have so many members of our team who've devoted decades of their lives to serving this city. Kathy served as the assistant director of this program. She has 32 years of service here. She retired in July, and it's an opportunity now as we commemorate Victims Assistance Week to also celebrate someone who has devoted her career as a real mission to helping your constituents when they've been victims of crime. Kathy, on behalf of all of us in the city, congratulations on your work.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney, and for all of you who are paying such close attention to this very important matter. And on behalf of a grateful city, we'd like to present this Victims' Rights Week resolution to the office for its extraordinary work, caring for not just victims, but everyone in our city, making sure that we have enjoyed the kind of quality of life that's so very, very important. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Price. Garrett? Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay, thanks very much.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks again. And our next presentation, Councilmember Joe Buscaino.
Thank you, Mr. President and colleagues. It's great to be before you to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the Treaty of Rome, which was signed on March 25th, 1957, and established the European Economic Community. I am here honored to be able to welcome in chambers today consul generals representing the European Union. These consulates are official representatives of the public administration of their respective governments. So let's give them all a round of applause. I'd like to introduce them first, Mr. President, if I can. Let's give them a welcome to the John Ferraro chambers. Representing Austria, Consul General Ulrike Ritzinger. Consul General of Bulgaria, Vasilin Valcher. You'll soon hear from our Consul General from Croatia, Siniša Grčić, which we have our sister city of Split. Representing Czech Republic, Consul General Pavel Seplikalak. Representing Estonia, Honorary Consul Jak Tramman. Representing Germany, Deputy Consul General Miss Catherine Steinbrin. Representing Greece, Consul General Gregory Kalaholis. And know that we have our sister city in Athens there, and then also Germany, our sister city in Berlin. You'll soon hear from our Italian Consul General, Mr. Antonio Verde. From Latvia, Honorary Consul Juris Bunkis and his wife Tina. From Lithuania, the Consul General Gydimias Siraika. Consul General from Poland, Mariusz Brimoa. Consul General from Spain, Francisco Javier de Aca. Did I miss anyone? And the Belgium, let's see. Belgium, representing Belgium, Consul General Henry Vattingem. Let's give them all a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues. It's great to be here before you. And to give some brief remarks, I'd like to welcome the chair of the local EU Consul General, the Consul General Corps, is Consul General Siniša Grčić from Croatia, to say a few words. Siniša.
And then I'll pass the mic first to our colleague from Italy, Consul General Antonio Verde first.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for meeting us today and, in a way, for joining us in celebrating the 60th anniversary of the signing of the Treaties of Rome, the starting point of that ambitious, unprecedented, and momentous dream that we are come to call European Union. We are so familiar with the term European Union that we fail to remember that never before in human history did states come together peacefully and willingly relinquish aspects of their sovereignty to form a supranational entity. And never before did Europe come together peacefully or willingly under a single flag. For its various progress, for all its ups and downs, we must admit that the EU is an incredible experiment. And let us not forget that the longest period of peace and stability in Europe, 70 years since the end of the World War, this period started with the formation of the European communities. In fact, the previously unimaginable destruction and desolation and suffering that we left Europe destroyed after World War II was the origin of the intent to establish the European Coal and Steel Community, and then the European Economic Community, and finally, as you know, in 1992, the European Economic Community became the European Union. But the journey is far from over. We should proceed together. We know that we are facing new and serious challenges. Everyone is aware of that. But everyone is always aware that we should proceed together, as I said before, with cohesion and solidarity, so as to continue living in a context of freedom, democracy, and human dignity. Yes. As a founding member, Italy was and continues to be a leader in the pursuit of these common principles, and also to be a cultural bridge between Europe and the South Shore of the Mediterranean. So, we are here today mainly to say happy birthday Europe, and it has been a long journey, not easy, still complicated, but all this work is always worth it. Thank you very much indeed for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Antonio. Thank you so much. Sinistra. Thank you.
The honorable members of the City Council, dear colleagues, councils of European Union member states in Los Angeles, ladies and gentlemen. The European Union is celebrating its 60th anniversary, as 60 years ago the Treaty of Rome was signed as one of the two most important treaties by which the European Economic Community was created. The second treaty, the Treaty on European Union, signed in Maastricht in 1992, and I can proudly say that I was there as young European Federalist. Though European Union is not the United States of Europe, we are based on some principles, and similar to the US Declaration of Independence, we have these two treaties, which basically gives us freedom to transcend the national borders without losing our identities, our cultural and traditional values. This is what makes us so unique, as there is no such example in human history. But does it make us weak at the same time? Yes. But will the rest of the world benefit if the EU fails for some reason? No. Therefore, it is obvious that the future of the democratic world, and let me define this, countries that respect human rights and freedom, governments of law rather than of men, free economies of free enterprises, is work even more closely together and try to reach the same level of agreement as the founding fathers of the European Union did in 1957 in Rome. Thank you, Councilman Buscaino, for giving us these wonderful opportunities to celebrate the creation of the European Union together with the City Council of Los Angeles. We, as EU councils, have prepared an intangible gift for the City Council and for the people of Los Angeles. It is a song, Ode of Joy, and I kindly ask our performance to step here.
Fantastic. Well, please, Joe, don't gift us with
No,
singing.
I'm not going to sing.
Okay, all right.
We have professional singers.
Yes. And
All right, that'd be hard.
Ode of Joy by Ludwig van Beethoven, also the EU anthem, performed by the best Croatian-American bass baritone, Boris Martinovic, Ukraine soprano, Anna Belaya, and Russian cello player, Evgeny Tonka. Enjoy.
Fantastic. And if we can ask for silence in the chambers, too, so we can appreciate this for everything it's worth. Thank you very much.
We got a microphone. Oh, no need. No need. Thanks, Roger.
O Freude, nicht diese Töne, sondern lasst uns angenehmere anstimmen. Und
Thank you, Mr. President and colleagues. Again, Los Angeles is so blessed to welcome countries from around the world. We are a modeled United Nations here in the city of Los Angeles, welcoming over 200 countries speaking hundreds of languages, and to have your presence here is quite the honor to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the Treaty of Rome. Thank you very much, colleagues. Appreciate it. Thank you for your presence.
Thank you for that special presentation. That was magnificent. And Councilmember Buscaino, to you too, hats off to you for pronouncing all the names correctly. So that was,
Thank you so much.
in and of itself, a feat. Okay, we've got we're going to go ahead and reconsider item 5 because there was an amendment that was circulated. So we'll go ahead and open the roll for reconsideration at item 5. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, there are no cards, so we'll go ahead and open the roll on item 5. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Great, that is approved. Thank you so much.
And Mr. President, for clarification, that was adopted as amended by motion Cedillo-Huizar.
Thank you very much for that. And now we have a special presentation from Councilmember Paul Koretz. Paul, too, is going to play the cello.
Hi, how are you? Good to see you. Yeah. Well, thank you, Mr. President and colleagues. Today we're declaring Mediation Week, Mediation Awareness Week in the City of Los Angeles, and I'm delighted to be joined by our City Attorney Mike Feuer and Daniel Ben-Zvi, the Chairman of Mediation Awareness Week, and other distinguished guests who will be introduced shortly. We've celebrated Mediation Awareness Week annually here in the City of Los Angeles for several years now, And that's because the option of mediation for people experiencing conflicts in their personal or professional lives is of tremendous benefit to those individuals and their families and their communities. We want to do what we can to let people know about mediation and to raise mediation awareness. People need forums other than our courts for the resolution of conflict. The resolution of disputes can be unnecessarily costly, time-consuming, and complex when achieved through court proceedings and tie up our overburdened court system. In mediation, parties in dispute can often agree on a resolution under the guidance of a skilled mediator, thereby avoiding the need to seek a decision from a judge, jury, or arbitrator. The City of Los Angeles now has a substantial number of professionally trained mediators providing dispute resolution services to those in need of such services. What matters is that we as a community and as a society can come to a common place, no matter how much disagreement is in the air, so we can work out our issues amicably and productively. And now I'd like to introduce City Attorney Mike Fior, who is always a great advocate for finding ways, including through mediation, for generating peaceful, productive, and harmonious solutions benefiting this city. Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Before I start with a couple remarks, I do want to acknowledge Shafan Roberts, who will be speaking in a moment, but Shafan, who's standing here, heads our dispute resolution program in our office and does a remarkable job. He'll be speaking later, but I wanted to acknowledge you publicly, Shafan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, resolution of disputes takes many different forms in our city. I want to just highlight a couple facets of work in our office that would, I think, benefit your constituents to know a little bit more about, council members. One is our neighborhood justice program. That's a program where, under the leadership of a trained mediator, we bring volunteers we recruit from your neighborhoods, volunteers who come from the neighborhoods in which offenses are committed. We train them in principles of restorative justice. We bring an offender of a crime that is nonviolent to that group. They have to take responsibility for their actions, and we say we will not prosecute you if you complete neighborhood justice. What that looks like is they come into a room, those 3 volunteers whom we have trained under a mediator's supervision inquire of the offender what they've done, why they've done it, and explain how the community has suffered as a result of that offense, and prescribe a community obligation. It might be tutoring or training kids or teaching high school students about the dangers of alcohol abuse or repairing a vandalized building, whatever it might be. And another member of our office is in the same room who prescribes interventions for that person. Might be job training. What's extraordinary is if you complete that program in our office, you don't get prosecuted, while nationally the rate of recidivism of repeat offenses is between 50 and 60%. In neighborhood justice, it's less than 5%. This is changing lives, and it is reducing repeat crimes. But the program I really want to highlight today, under Shafan's leadership, is our police community unification program. We all know that nationally and here in Los Angeles, there have been tensions between members of communities, especially communities of color, and LAPD. Our police community unification program brings individuals who have complaints against the police department together with the officers against whom they have complained. And through mediation, achieves a different level of understanding that lasts for perhaps a lifetime between individuals and communities on the one hand and LAPD on the other. I know that there are officers who've gone through this program who are now proselytizing among their colleagues to urge them to participate in police community unification because it's heightened their understanding of the communities they serve. And I know of particular anecdotes where complainants have benefited tremendously. We recently heard, for example, about a young Latino man who felt as though because of his race he had been targeted by LAPD. He complained about that. Through police community unification, this young man, who's a student, not only developed a very different understanding of LAPD, but went from being someone who he says thought of himself as a victim, which was having a very adverse effect on his studies, to being a much more focused member of the community. His studies improved, his grades got better, and he's anticipating a future which will be much richer because he got involved in this program. He had to be urged to do it, but once he got into it, he felt it was incredibly worthwhile. There are dozens of examples like this. So whether we're talking about reducing crime in your neighborhoods through the use of mediated programs, or talking about improving community relations between the police officers and the residents they serve, mediation has remarkable impacts in your neighborhoods. And again, I want to thank Shafan for his leadership. Thanks, Paul.
All right, if you're going to yell out from council chambers and disrupt this meeting, you're going to be asked to leave. That's your only warning. We've read the rules at the beginning. We're giving a warning now. That's Antonia Ramirez. She's yelling out from the back of the room. One other one. If you're going to continue to clap or wave your hands you can do from the back of the room, but not in the middle of sitting in the pews when you're disrupting everybody else's participation and listening. So that waving of your hands and clapping, you're going to be asked to leave if you're going to disrupt this meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And now let's hear from the chairman of Mediation Awareness Week, Daniel Ben-Zvi, who will also help us with the introductions of our other special guests.
Thank you, Councilmember Paul Koretz. I am mediator Daniel Ben-Zvi for again sponsoring Mediation Awareness Week, and thank you, City Attorney Mike Fuhrer, for again being here in support. This is the 13th year. Founding sponsor was Wendy Gruhl. We also thank the other sponsors through the years, Buscayino, Zine, Wesson. You as politicians are constantly mediating. We are doctors of negotiation that help guide people to resolve disputes on their own. I've come up with a good explanation, a good analogy to highlight what mediation is. Supposing the doctor says to you, you have a serious illness. You have two choices. One is attempt to take control of the body yourself, try to heal yourself by medication, diet, exercise, or two, go turn over your body to a third party with a mask called surgeon. Obviously a no-brainer. We'll go and try to resolve and heal ourselves first. This medication is like mediation. In mediation, parties get to determine whether to settle and on what terms. They decide with the guidance of a mediator. If that doesn't work, then they turn over their lawsuit or dispute to a third party, be it judge, jury, or arbitrator. I, as a mediator, have mediated thousands of cases. 90% have resolved, most within a day or two. Hundreds of mediations are taking place in the city of Los Angeles today. Most will resolve. Could you imagine the court savings, the city savings on judges and courtrooms if we didn't have mediation? Now I would like to introduce others who support this cause through a cross-section of the legal and mediation community.
Good morning. My name is Lawrence Lalonde. I'm a Board of Governors Emeritus from the Consumer Attorneys Association of Los Angeles, this nation's largest local association of plaintiffs' attorneys. Our association is a powerful advocate for victims' rights, civil rights, and equal access to justice. Over the last few decades, the field of mediation has grown tremendously because of the recognition that it serves as a path to justice. Mediators serve to benefit our communities by using their skills to bring parties together to a compromise. Abraham Lincoln believed strongly in the mediation process and the peacemakers involved in that process. Paraphrasing President Lincoln's well-known quote and applying it to our mediators and the mediation process: persuade your neighbors to compromise whenever you can. As a peacemaker, the mediator has a superior opportunity of being a good person. Thank you, LA City Council, for your recognition of the importance of mediation in our community.
Hello. My name is Shafan Roberts. I'm the director for the City Attorney's Dispute Resolution Program. I just want to say that mediation is simply structured communication. And now more than ever, it's important for us to have relationship and have this communication between not just our neighbors, but those throughout the country. Those are the people that may think a little bit differently than we do. It's important for us to sit down at the table and try to get some resolution, some understanding, allow for that to occur. Since 1989, our office has been offering these services and training these mediators who produce these results. And we've been working through 3 different programs in my unit. I know that Mike Fear talked about neighborhood justice program as well, but we offer restorative justice or recidivisation ordinance mediation. We also offer community mediation where we resolve disputes between neighbors, barking dogs, as well as businesses, and that's our public-facing department. We also have our community police unification program that Mr. Mike Fear spoke about. And I just want to take the time now to say thank you to the city for creating this space for this to occur. I want to thank Mr. City Attorney Mike Fear for his support, unwavering support for our office and our unit and mediation throughout the City Attorney's office as well. And I want to thank our volunteer mediators and our staff because they show an equal amount of passion and compassion for the work that they do. So thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Hannah Mormon, and I'm here on behalf of the Association of Southern California Defense Counsel, which is an organization of defense attorneys in Southern California. There are hundreds of attorneys involved in this organization that handle thousands of cases that require mediation on a daily basis. And as a personal story of how mediation has impacted my career recently is that I just got out of a 9-week trial in San Bernardino, which required a team of attorneys, support staff, hotel tab at the Residence Inns in San Bernardino over a 3-month course period, and it just goes to show you the power of mediating. We tried to mediate this case before we went to trial, and we were not successful, but it just goes to show the amount of resources and time that a successful mediation can save an attorney in handling cases like the ones that I do. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Margaret Stevens. I'm president of the Los Angeles County Bar Association. Our association is one of the largest voluntary organizations, bar organizations in the country. We have about 20,000 members, and a number of whom exist and have joined outside the boundaries of California and the United States. We have a rich history woven within the city of Los Angeles. We've been around for about 140 years. And our history with mediation is no less bright. In 1978, we started one of the first mediation programs in the country. It was at a time when mediation was a word that was unknown. It was not a process that is well-versed and that exists throughout so many organizations today. I'm very proud of so many things that we do, but one of the things I'm most proudest of and want to highlight today before you is our family law section's mediation program. For many years, our family law section has provided volunteers to the Los Angeles Superior Court's Daily Settlement Officer program at our Stanley Moss Courthouse here in downtown Los Angeles, as well as the courthouse in Compton. Of course, Stanley Mosque is the largest courthouse in the country. And as every presiding judge of the family law section will tell you, and family law courts will tell you, without this program, the family law courts could not function. 80% of those who come into the family law courts are not represented by counsel. Throughout this program, the Los Angeles County Bar Family Law Section attorneys volunteer hundreds of hours of their time to engage parents and families in probably one of the most difficult moments of their lives. Try to bring some clarity to them about what the process involves, what the judge might consider, and how the judge might rule. This program also offers accountants and other experts that can help these families and parents and individuals understand what's at stake and make the best decision they can. So the Los Angeles County Bar very much appreciates this program, this awareness, and it has been remarkable to see and for me to look at back in the history when we first started our program in 1978, when it was a novel mediation program in communities and schools, to see how much this concept has been embraced in so many aspects of our society, and no less here at City Hall. So thank you very much for this honor to be here.
Good morning. I'm Jack Getz. I'm President-elect of the Southern California Mediation Association. On behalf of SCMA, I'd like to thank City Council Member Paul Koretz and the City Council for this important recognition. Process of involving a non-biased and trained third-party mediator in resolving a dispute produces very positive outcomes. Recent studies that show that people who insist on fighting in court to resolve a dispute are 2 times more likely to have to go back to court to enforce even a winning result than parties who have signed voluntarily derived mediation settlement agreements. Individuals have tremendous capacity for reaching solutions peacefully. Hundreds of members of SCMA stand ready to help the public resolve disputes across the board, including neighbor-neighbor issues, personal injury issues, as well as commercial disagreements. Mediation Awareness Week is an opportunity to let people know that while conflict is inevitable, combat is a choice, and not the best choice. Thank you for your time today.
Good morning. My name is Renata Valry. I'm here on behalf of the National Association for Community Mediation. Our program is a member-based association. We provide support and services to over 400 community mediation centers across the United States. And we give them as much support as far as allocation of resources, administrative time, training, developing curriculum. But what I'd like to do now is just take a few minutes to highlight some of the services that community mediation programs are providing across the United States. We provide family law, mediation services, probate, truancy, school attendance, peer mediation. But what I am most proud of is our recent work in partnership with JAMS, which is the Judges, Arbitrators, and Mediators Services. We have launched 4 new mediation programs, police and community mediation programs in Baltimore, Dayton, Ohio. We have New Orleans, and we have Warrenton, Virginia. We also have launched new programs for the LGBTQ community in Las Vegas. We have a program that's launching here in Long Beach that will connect foster youth and their families. We have veterans and military families mediation programs. We're working with the Monterey School of Law. We have programs that will launch in Arkansas, North Carolina, and Missouri. So those are just some of the many, many ways that community mediation services, programs, and processes that can work and do work and are effective in communities. And I'd just like to thank this council, thank the city for recognizing, for valuing the benefits of community mediation and mediation across the board. Thank you.
And thank you, everyone, for making Mediation Awareness Week a tremendous annual event. And now it's my privilege to present this proclamation declaring this week to be Mediation Awareness Week in the City of Los Angeles.
All right, thank you again. And it really is a terrific program. I know we've certainly referred many people in our district office to mediation, so we really appreciate all the work from the City Attorney's Office and all the partners. Thank you so much. All right, now turn it over to Councilmember Mitchell O'Farrell. Mitch?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Curran Price and I are joined today by Carlos Vacarano of the Salvadoran American Leadership and Educational Fund, otherwise known as SALEF, the Reverend David Farley, the Director of Social Justice for the California Pacific Conference of the United Methodist Church, Cynthia Flores, the Salvadoran American immigrant attorney, joining us today, also Consul General Maria Mercedes Lopez Peña, and we are here to celebrate and mark the solemn occasion of the 24th, March 24th was the 37th anniversary of Monsignor Oscar A. Romero's martyrdom. Please give a warm round of applause for our guests standing with us today. We recognize Monsignor Romero's advocacy for the poor and the persecuted, which made him the voice of the voiceless. And despite the death threats against his life in the midst of a civil war, Archbishop Romero continued his campaign for human rights. We commemorate a man for many decades who spent his lifetime, has stood as a figure of hope for the Salvadoran people. He represents the moral voice against the injustices and human rights violations that led Salvadorans to flee by the tens of thousands their home country and seek refuge in the United States. As you are aware, colleagues, the city of Los Angeles has the largest concentration of Salvadorans outside of the Republic of El Salvador, with a large concentration residing in the 13th District, the 9th District, and many others. I am very honored to represent the Salvadoran Americans in the 13th District. Today, we recognize the important social, cultural, economic, and political contributions of the Salvadoran community to the city of Los Angeles. I am committed to working with the Salvadoran leadership in Los Angeles to improve the well-being of our Salvadoran brothers and sisters, especially in light of the xenophobic, racist, anti-immigration policies of the Donald Trump administration. Let's continue Monsignor Romero's legacy of love and compassion for the less fortunate and stand strong in defending the human rights of the immigrant community in our Los Angeles. Me siento orgulloso de estar aquí con todos ustedes a rendir homenaje a la vida y enseñanzas de Monsignor Oscar A. Romero. Hoy honramos la vida de un hombre que durante muchas décadas se ha destacado como una figura de esperanza para todos nuestros hermanos salvadoreños. Estamos dedicados a mejorar el bienestar y luchar por los derechos humanos de nuestra comunidad latina en Los Ángeles, especialmente durante este clima político. Gracias. And with that, I'd like to invite our colleague, Corinne Price, to say a few words.
Thank you, Councilman. It's a real honor and pleasure for me to celebrate with you today. As mentioned, the 9th District has a large population of El Salvadorian Americans, and we just appreciate the contribution that they make, not just in the 9th District, but citywide. I had an opportunity to travel to El Salvador a couple of years ago with Salif, and had an opportunity to see where Monsignor Romero worked, where he lived, where he loved. And it's no secret that he was a strong force at a very troubling time in that country, and he continues to be a strong voice for freedom, for integrity, for working together. And that's the kind of brotherhood that he advocated and continues to advocate through his teachings. And so it's an honor to be here as we celebrate a great man on a mission that was so very, very important while he lived, and even more important now that he's gone. And so we honor in this celebration this morning.
And now I'd like to introduce a real champion of human rights and social justice, my friend, the Reverend David Farley.
You bet. Before I became the Director of Justice and Compassion Ministries for the Conference of the United Methodist Church, I served since the 80s at Echo Park United Methodist Church, and was blessed in many ways by the Salvadoran community. It was a center of sanctuary and cultural center, organizing and action. And I just want to say, on behalf of many leaders of the diverse faith communities of this city, I'm sure that I can say on their behalf, amen, praise God for this statement, and affirmation, because it not only acknowledges a great man, but as the council persons have said, it says something about who we are and who we are committed to be. And we have claimed this spirit that was embodied by Archbishop Romero. And we will live out that spirit in the face of the challenges all of us face in this nation. And I just pray that this spirit we're embodying here in the City of Angels spreads throughout the land. Amen.
Well done. Thank you so much. Thank you. And now someone who fights day in and day out for the legal rights of the Salvadoran community, Attorney Cynthia Flores.
Thank you all so much for providing us with this opportunity. I'm incredibly honored as a first-generation Salvadoreña. I grew up hearing stories about Monsignor Romero and later reading some of his passages. And in times of difficulties, I often relied and sought refuge in his word. As you all know, Monsignor Romero paid the ultimate price. He gave his life to his teaching and fighting poverty, fighting violence, state-sponsored terrorism. And I think, growing up in the 13th district has really informed and enriched my understanding of what it means to be a Salvadoreña in Los Angeles, the city that has the highest concentrations of Salvadorans outside of El Salvador. And especially in these trying times, I think it's incredibly important for us to continue to uplift the principles by which Monsignor Romero lived and for which he gave his life. So I applaud everyone around the table on this council for standing with us, standing with justice, and standing in this fight that's before us. Thank you very much.
And now I'd like to introduce the founder of SALAF, Executive Director, someone who has dedicated his life to making sure that no one ever forgets the causes that he so fervently and passionately believes in, and is a reminder, a constant reminder to all of us that we always need to be there for those that are vulnerable in this community, and that is our friend Carlos Vaccarano. Carlos.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you. Buenos días, members of the City Council, Councilmember Mr. Farrell, Councilmember Corin Price, thank you for this opportunity. I want to start by reading a quote by Monsignor Romero. I do not believe in death without resurrection. If they kill me, I will rise again in the people of El Salvador. No creo en la muerte sin la resurrección. Si me matan, resucitaré en el pueblo de El Salvador. Monsignor Romero was killed 37 years ago, and we're still going through many of the issues and the problems that he died for. Social injustice, discrimination, especially in current circumstances. The new policies of the current administration against the Latino community, the undocumented community, that's what Monsignor Romero denounced, and that's why he was killed. So the best way that we can continue his legacy and his teaching is by continuing offering services, offering opportunities for the undocumented community. So I salute the City Council, I salute the Mayor for your new measures to support the undocumented communities. And I thank you once again for recognizing Monsignor Romero's life and legacy by naming Monsignor Romero's month this month. We are celebrating his life and his legacy, and I hope that we can continue that. Remember, this year we're going to celebrate his centennial. August 15, we're going to celebrate his centennial, and we hope that we can continue counting on your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, all assembled. His legacy lives on. His words and his life are as relevant today as they ever have been, and he speaks the universal truth of understanding, love, peace, acceptance, and tolerance, a message that we need to promote now more than ever. Thank you so much, and congratulations.
And we have a couple speakers on the queue as well. Councilmember Cedillo.
Let me say that I stand honored to join my colleagues today on the 37th anniversary of the remembrance of the assassination of the Monsignor Oscar Romero. It is true that at this moment in our nation, when immigrants have been vilified and are scapegoated for many of the ills of our country, for many of the economic challenges of our country, this is the moment for which we must stand and honor those who have stood up for social justice. I have had the privilege on many occasions to visit El Salvador and was honored to visit the tomb of the great Monsignor. He stands as the embodiment of all those who stand for social justice, for progress, for democracy, and for the spirit of our humanity. Let me say this about the immigrant community, particularly those who come from El Salvador, because they have been slandered as a community. And it's important to note, particularly for the Salvadoreños, that the character of the immigrant community is one of entrepreneurship. It's one that is responsible, the immigrant is optimistic, and the immigrant that comes here is a dreamer. Those that come here are not the persons who live casually in their homeland and take casual decisions to leave their homeland, but they are the members of their families that are most entrusted to represent the family, to go to another country where they speak another language, where the social environment is hostile to their very presence, and yet they find employment, they create small enterprises, and they seek success, not for themselves particularly, but for their children. And SALIF is an organization dedicated to those dreams, to those children. I want to thank Carlos for his presence today and his ceaseless leadership on these issues. I remember fondly the mornings at Linda Grego's restaurant, Engine Company 28, Carlos, when we would meet there early in the morning, and she was kind enough to give us pastries and coffee so that we could plan the beginning of SALIF. And how, with your vision and your leadership, it has now become an important and critical institution in the city, particularly for Salvadoran and Central American youth to know that this city remains committed to them as they are committed to us. Monsignor Romero is represented in my district by the statue at MacArthur Park, by the Plaza, and by Clínica Oscar Romero. The Clínica is the site of first service for those who are ill and infirmed. I remember working with Roland Plasencia when we were simply trying to get generic medicine for those who were there. But that clinic now has become a model for self-help, for public health, and for primary care. It is a place that people go and know with confidence. And I'll say this to you. Yesterday we talked about Mike Garcia, and I would tell Mike frequently, even with the top insurance that many immigrants have, those who are fortunate to work for HERE in their unions or for Justice for Janitors, their first choice, even though they can go to other places throughout the city, their first choice is Clínica Oscar Romero, because it is socially and culturally welcoming. They have the larger waiting rooms, they have the televisions, they welcome the kids. You know, when an immigrant goes to see the doctor, they bring their children, and when they bring their children, so that the children are happy, they bring their best friend, and so one visit will bring half a dozen kids minimum. And so Clínica Romero is the first choice of many of the immigrant community. It's appropriate for us at this very moment to talk about the Monsignor, because he represented what we talk about today, the institutional resistance to oppression. We're very fortunate to be here in California, where we have leadership like the governor, Jerry Brown, by the legislature, by the County Board of Supervisors, by the school board district, and here this city council has been clear in its opposition to the oppression of the Trump administration. It's appropriate for us to honor Monsignor Romero because he was that voice of resistance for the Salvadoran community then, now, and with these efforts will be that person in the future. Viva la resistencia, viva Monsignor Oscar Romero. Que viva!
Councilmember Blumenfield.
Thank you. I rise to add my voice. It's so appropriate to honor Monsignor Romero, especially as all of us have talked about in these very difficult times. But to have those values of social justice, of equality, that is what we need to be singing, and those are the values we need to hear. And so today is particularly appropriate. Carlos, it's always great to have you here. I've known Carlos for 20 years, working on issues with TPS with Salvadorans back 20 years ago, and after the earthquake in 2001, we went together to El Salvador to bring earthquake assistance. The Salvadoran spirit is strong, and Monsignor really helps channel that. And so I'm just pleased to be part of this celebration and to join my colleagues. Thank you for bringing this forward and to honor Monsignor Romero. Thank you.
Mr. David Rio, did you want to?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to rise and thank Councilmember O'Farrell for bringing this very important organization that serves our communities. Monsignor Romero was an amazing man, and the organization that that bears his name also does amazing work. And to my good friend Carlos Vacaneros with SALDEF, which is an organization that's near and dear to my heart, because when I worked at the Korean American Coalition, we were partners, and we could map when we both started together, the two organizations. So the Salvadoran community has been a good friend, and thank you so much for everything that you do. But I also want to recognize, I believe, Board President of LAUSD, Steve Zimmer, is also here to support this event. Steve has been a strong champion and a friend to the City Council, and as the chairman of Health, Mental Health, and Education, he's been a great partner in everything that we do, and I know he's here to also support the organization and the presentation today. Thank you, Councilmember O'Farrell.
Thank you. Thank you. You good?
All righty, thank you.
Must be in the picture. All right, so. Let's get, come. And we'll take more pictures in back too, but let's get a quick. Yeah, come. We'll get as many as we can. Oh, we're good? Okay, no one drop it, it's glass. Okay. So we're going to follow Willie. Let's follow Willie. Okay?
All right, let's give Mary another round of applause. Thank you so much.
I'll get this side if you want to get that side.
And Mr. President, while we're waiting, if I may, there has been an amending motion, motion 30A, that has been submitted and circulated and posted for item 30, and a substitute motion for item 25 that has also been circulated for council's consideration.
Okay, great. So we can go ahead and vote on those two items now? Not yet, because they've been posted. We're waiting for them to be posted after the cards. Okay. So with that, let's go ahead and go over to public comment now that we've finished the presentation. Let's go into multiple speaker cards. First, we've got Herman. Herman on items 1, 16, 17. And this thing's not working. All items that you filled out. 1, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21.
So what's up, Angelinos? On item 1 regarding the wings, it's unconstitutional. But as you know, Mr. Krikorian is not in his seat to acknowledge CD2 for 1217 West Burbank Boulevard once again. So I demand that you shelf this item and give and allow the person's representation through transparency, because you do not acknowledge them by the process of a registered certified mail, violation of their constitutional rights in Los Angeles and the state of California. I demand that you hold this item until the people who have to pay these high prices on bullshit dissolve it. Now going on to the item of the favoritism, item CD10.
Herb Wesson. Why is Herb Wesson on item 10? After all,
Mr. President, item 10 is not before us. The speaker should move on to one of the items.
It's 16, sir. I couldn't see it. It says communication from the Bureau of Street Lighting. Yeah, we need more street lightings so we can dissolve all the pimps like Nuri has in Van Nuys with Zimmerman over there giving hugs out. But what about the children? And then they go into item number 17, Peppa Pig. And that fool, communication from the Bureau of Street Lighting regarding pimps. Our children are in danger if you don't have lighting to show where we got pimps. Now I'm going to item 18, sir. That's Cedillo. I thank Cedillo for honoring the El Salvadorians, a humble group of people.
Item, stay on 18.
Well, CD1 is dealing with the Bureau of Street Lighting, shedding light on people. Now I'm going to the next item, which is item number, stick to the rewards. Stick to the rewards. Do lives matter? Yes, rookie. Rookie, I'm on item 26 and 27.
The speaker is not speaking to the item. Yeah, you know what? Okay, let's go ahead and start his 1 minute of general public comment. So now you can.
Big ears. Listen, big ears. Don't threaten people that participate in public meetings. Don't violate our constitutional right, rookie. Yeah, you rookie. When a person's disabled, don't fuck with them. Don't deal with people with disabilities in an inappropriate manner like Zimmerman and Nuri in her council district, allowing pedophiles to do what? It's been going on for years in Van Nuys. Stop the shit. In addition to that, rookie, do you hear me, rookie? Do you hear me, rookie?
Mr. President, the speaker should address the chairman, not members of the council or the staff.
Alvin Brownack allows me to challenge and question you, rookie. You fail as an attorney the same way Mike Fuhr stood here parading about, oh, we got a new program. Well, you know what I think of the program? Here. That's what I think of the program. Because it's done nothing to communicate.
Thank you very much. You're out of time. Thank you. Thank you. So the next speaker, please. Now you're disrupting the meeting. All right. You're going to be asked to leave if you keep shouting out. You're leaving? Okay. Thank you. Oh, you're still yelling out, so we're going to ask you to leave council chambers now. That's the fifth warning. So see you later, Herman. We'll see you, I'm sure, on Friday. We're going to wait until you leave council chambers now. We've asked you to leave many times. You already had your time, you spoke, so go enjoy the day.
And for the record, Herman is continuing to shout out as he's leaving the chamber.
All right, you're still disrupting the meeting. Keep going. You're still shouting out. Keep going. You're still shouting out. Keep going. Don't walk backwards. Turn around and walk out faster. Thank you.
Walk out the way, come in. Looking at you, fool. See that, rookie?
And for the record, in case the cameras are not capturing, Mr. Herman is walking backwards as slowly as he can to disrupt the meeting as long as he can.
As he does every day. Well, enjoy. Thank you.
And he's still shouting as he's leaving the room.
All right. Now we'll bring our next one up. Eric Previn. On 1, 20, 24, 25, 28, 29, and 30, please stick to those specific items to which you filled out cards. Once again, 1A, 20, 24, 25, 28, 29, and 30. If you go off topic, as already warned all the previous speakers as well as before the meeting, then you'll forfeit your time. We'll go right into general public comment. Thank you.
You didn't read all of the, it's Eric Previn from CD2. Item 25, you put a substitute motion, and I did sign up on that. I don't know why. I don't know why you don't have the information. It's a little fishy, quite frankly. It's an item in which EWDD, that's the Economic Workforce Development Commission, is apparently released an RFP in May, and now we're having earlier, I guess, the CAO, the CLA, DOT, and GSD. This is basically city groups looking at one another's work to make sure that only one submittal is appropriate for this RFP, because there was a little bit of affordable housing involved. I would ask you to revamp your process for requesting proposals from members of the community. This is I remember almost a year ago when this was first thrown out. It's not appropriate. And item number 30 on the agenda today was originally earmarked $100,000 for a gun buyback program to Ralph's, but like that, it's now Target. Now, I don't know that anybody cares, but why can't we get that right when we make the agenda? Because it looks bad. It looks like a fast one, like, hey, nobody's going to notice. It makes people wonder, why is this body doing those kind of audibles? Obviously, congratulations are in order for the police permit review. You got Membreno and Vasquez have been added, but that's 4 women and 1 man on that particular board. I don't get that. Item number 26 and 27 are rewards. Now, this body likes to post rewards.
Mr. President, I don't believe Mr. Previn signed up.
Yeah, I did. I
for
signed up
26
on
or
those
20.
items. They're on the agenda where you can sign up, and I did. And those are the LA Times $1,800 to purchase.
You did not sign up for 26 or 27.
Guys, if it's
so
fair
25,
shot,
28, I'm going to read them to you
clear.
again. You signed up on item 1, 20, 24, 25, 28, 29, and item 30.
Okay, well, that is not my understanding. Graham Park, on item number 29, Graham Park, you've allotted $3,300 for the New Year celebration and $1,300 for 4th of July. I mean, what is that? That's like, that doesn't cover the cost, so I don't know, is it just a token? Is that just to pay for the guys to go? I mean, this is run by the county, so it's an interesting question. Maybe that's covering the bar tab, I don't know. I mean, it's a very strange and small cost. Item number 28, Koretz, the brave and heroic winner of the CD5 race, is making available for the Westwood Village Improvement Association, a not-for-profit, banners throughout the city, I guess, to celebrate his victory. But how much money is that going to cost, and who's paying for it? Because there's nothing, I scanned the item, Mr. Falbo obviously doesn't look closely. There's no financial impact, so maybe that's okay. I feel like we have some financial problems and ought not to be doing those things. 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 that are not available for speaking today, is my understanding, are all upgrades for employees.
And so, if they're not available for
So I'm
speaking,
just
they're not.
clarifying that. You will not take
Okay, let's go ahead and start your 1 minute for general public comment.
Well, the timing on that worked out well, sir. Item number 34 is, I think it's ILO, I can't remember the first name, but E-A-D-D-Y. And this is a group, a guy who the county is the city is settling up with. Unfortunately, this guy, I believe, was killed. There was a taser involved, Mr. Englander, so stop giggling. The guy, he was an older kid, a guy with a low intelligence quotient or something like that, but he was playing with a knife. It's a very unfortunate story. It resulted in a $1.43 million city cost, but you challenged that, and now it's a $2 million city cost. So why would we do that, since this family lost their guy and since these tasers that you keep hammering on and now Charlie Beck is facing a real crisis because you put 4,400 of them in the back of the body cam truck, and now we've got all these guys with tasers all over the place, and they're not helpful. They're actually a destructive tool that hurt.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being here again today, Mr. Previn, as you are every day. Appreciate that, all your input. Next speaker, John Walsh. John Walsh on items 1, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Again, items 1, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Good afternoon, Mr. Walsh.
Good afternoon. John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org or J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. Number 1, building and safety. I've been living here since 1976. I have absolutely no complaints about building and safety. They're doing an excellent job. And item 17. Okay, this is street lighting. Since you got rid of those carbon arc, no problems. Once you got rid of those, we haven't had a light failure in my neighborhood in the past 10 years. We used to have 10 of them a month. Okay, now 1724. REAP, another excellent job. Number 24, this is at-risk affording house tenant outreach. That's poverty pimp crap. That's poverty pimp crap. They do no good. Number city parking lot, converting someplace into a parking lot, nonsense. Okay, shooting death, Christopher Saucedo, 50,000, and the next one, another 50,000. Again, you don't pay out. If anybody gives any information about Christopher Saucedo, the gangs have people inside here. They will be murdered. Everybody knows that. And no one will you never catch these people because this is the reward offers. And instantly, one person was brave enough to do it, and you wouldn't give him the full reward. Remember, that came before the city council. That actually came before the city council. Street banners in Westwood Village, too many of them. You can have your 51 seconds back because I have some important things to say during my 1 minute. Okay.
Right, go ahead and start that.
Cedillo, vote for Mr. Cedillo. Don't vote for the LA Times white boy candidate. Any Hispanic who votes for the white boy is a self-hater. Okay, look at today's LA Now. That's the, put in LAnow.com. The Zika virus has hit Southern California. A child was born with Zika virus. I'm telling you right now, and I say it to everybody, tourists, stay away. The Zika virus is spreading throughout Southern California, and I'm telling you right now, the Zika virus will kill you. You must, and 6 settlements, $4.6 million. Garcetti, resign and run for governor. The Zika virus is horrible, and it will kill us, and you don't even talk about it.
All right, thank you very much. Next speaker, please. Antonio Ramirez. Antonio, I'm going to remind you to stay on items 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. Sure you got them all? If you You'll forfeit your time and go into general public comment if you don't stay on those specific items for the 3 minutes.
Okay, I'm sorry, could you reiterate those numbers since I was walking to the
23,
podium?
24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30.
Okay, thank you very much. Beginning with number 23, no conversion of a $5 million loan for the Corporation for Supportive Housing, thereby fraudulently subsidizing these filthy, nasty Chango Latino wetbacks and gangbangers. America will not and no longer sustain nor support these illegal undesirables. Number 24, please send these high-risk offenders to Guantanamo if they are citizens, and if they are wetbacks and Chango gangbangers, deport them. We can't sustain these come caca pigs and thieves and pussies. Stop rewarding these high-risk assholes and help our beloved United States military veterans find housing. Do your patriotic job. Number 29. Let us celebrate the 4th of July because President Donald Trump, El Jefe, and the great Moses is in the house. God bless America. He is going to beautify America. He and his team will make America safe, secure, protected, and free from NSA, FBI,
Okay,
CIA.
let's go ahead. Okay,
and
Ms.
for
Ramirez, we're going to start your 1 minute for general public comment so you can continue this particular rant if you'd like.
We are demanding that you shut down the Samaritan homes run by the hypocritical Nigerian Christian self-serving leeches, Pastor Chu Wong and Grace Pam, and their incompetent idiot who only picks up the rent money. Her name is Florence Akuchie. They have failed to provide a healthy, clean, safe, and protected environment for the homeless, legal law-abiding citizens in South Central Los Angeles. These corrupted Nigerian pastors have no real professional, honest, law-abiding house managers. They hired a black ghetto American female who's also fighting for custody of her child, AJ. That's Jessica. Then you have the other co-tenants. They are brawlers, thieves, and inconsiderate, dysfunctional witches. They are Jessica, Ebony, Robin Taylor, and Yolanda Jackson, who is on parole. We have called the LAPD Southeast Division. Again, we have called the LAPD Southeast Division to stop the horrid crime, stealing, harassment, false allegations, false imprisonment, vandalism, and human rights and civil rights. God bless Donald Trump. God.
All right, brilliant. And so the next speaker, Ms. Autry.
Mr. President, as she's making her way
As she's
to the
making her way,
podium,
let's go ahead and take item 25.
And, Mr. President, there is a substitute motion for that matter, so it's a two-vote item. The first vote is on whether to substitute.
Okay, we'll go ahead and open the roll to substitute, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
All right, next item is to the actual substitution.
Now it's before you.
And so we'll go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Great, thank you very much.
And just for the record, Mr. President, the substitute motion had been posted for the public before the comments started.
Fantastic, excellent, thank you. Ms. Autry, 1 minute for general public comment. Thank you.
Yes, I'm Yvonne Michelle Autry, and for this record, I'd like to make a motion or an initiative to ban all electronic weapons. They were proliferated or developed, or they're continuing to test these electronic weapons on unsuspecting members of our community. These are covert and illegal, confidential, classified experiments perpetrated on people, largely black people, poor people, people that you put in the trash. However, the Citizens Commission on Human Rights has banned, from what I can discern, all human experiments. These are electronic weapons, so they are invisible, and it's very difficult to prove. However, I do have a testimony by one naval officer who exposed the federal government's subsidy in the development and in the proliferation of these weapons. Gangbangers, mafia, CIA, counterintelligence, FBI can use them and are using them against people that they do not like. So I'd like to begin this.
Thank you very much.
I have a petition.
That concludes your 1 minute of general public comment. Thank you very much. So the next speaker. Thank you, Ms. Autry. So our next speaker.
But you know, I had other items that I wanted to speak on.
The other items were already items that had public comment were fulfilled. So we'll go ahead and note it. The ones you filled out for, yes. The next speaker is Arlene Dickey, please. Thank you for your patience, ma'am. We have one item for general public comment from you, so for 1 minute.
Thank you.
My name's Arlene Dickey, and for over 30 years, I've been a proud community member of San Pedro. I'm here today to talk about Barton Hill Elementary School, a Title I school that is in the heart of downtown San Pedro. This is an LAUSD problem. I understand that. However, I need to make something very clear. There is no parking at that school. If you have a wife or a spouse that is a teacher that is another school, they do not have to walk over 4 blocks to get to their classroom. At this school, they do. I have been in touch with LAUSD and am, in fact, working with them on trying to find parking for that school. However, in the meantime, all 32 teachers and 30 staff members still have to walk over 4 blocks. I would like for the City Council to consider putting in permanent parking around the school.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Next speaker is Amal Iskander.
Good afternoon. Good morning, Mr. President. Yes, please. At the first hearing I came here, I spoke to Mr. Wilson and Mr. Huff and Mr. Charles Calibel for my lien, and they told me you're going to pay $550 and finish this lien. And for some reason, I don't know why, Mr. Huff, he tell me we're going to make some investigation. So we agree about that, and I left the court. And next time they change and they tell me you're going to pay more money, like 900 something, I don't know why. And they make me come today, I don't know also, I don't understand. But the first time, I spoke with the 3 of them, and we agree about 500. They told me, I didn't tell nothing. They tell me you're going to pay 550 in front of my son with me this time. I didn't do anything against the law. My ex-husband, he do like a wall for the garage, but I put it down. My mistake that every letter I received, it wasn't my name. It was my name before I get married name. This is why I returned everything.
Okay, if you can go ahead and go on to the side. The council member is going to come speak with you right now. Great, thank you. All right, Brian Barajas.
Okay, I turned in a document to you from LaRouche PAC, how to clean up the mess, go on the offensive against the FBI. Senator Charles Grassley, and I'll quote him from a letter he wrote, "When political opposition research becomes the basis for law enforcement or intelligence efforts, it raises substantial questions about the independence of law enforcement and intelligence from politics." Now, if you're going to deal with the empire, you're going to have to face the reality that we are facing a problem like John F. Kennedy faced. The American people have to understand that Donald Trump has committed the world into a peaceful negotiation with China and Russia. Many people don't understand that because the news outlets are serving in the best interest of the British Empire.
Yes, Mr. Wesson.
President and members, I just had a conversation on item 1B, and so what we're going to do, we're going to cancel the late fees and the interest, and we're going to reduce the lien amount to $500. So that's what I am requesting, and I vote on that. So again...
Okay, so that's your actual motion, and Mr. Krikorian seconds your motion. Okay.
Okay.
And and then with that, it'll be a receive and file after that? Okay. All right, so with that, we'll go ahead do we have any other cards on any other items?
Mr. President, we should vote on item 1B first.
Okay, we'll go ahead and do that. So it's 1B. be or 2 not to be. All right, so we'll go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved, Mr. Wesson. Thank you very much. Okay.
And Mr. President, before council now, we have items 16 through 24 and 26 through 29 ready to be voted upon.
Okay, we're going to take all those items together, colleagues. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take all those items together. Let's go ahead and open the roll on those items, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Those items are approved. Thank you. Next items, please.
Mr. President, that brings us to item number 30. We have it as amended by motion Buscaino-Weezer, and that's 30A.
30A. Okay, we'll go ahead and, as amended, open the roll on item 30A, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That's approved. Thank you. Next items, please.
And again, just for the record, the substitute 30A was posted for the public before public comment began.
Yeah, but that was only for the record. All right.
And
So-
Mr. President, that leaves item 1A.
All right, so 1A, Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you, Mr. President. Are there any cards on 1A?
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. President, my office has spoken to the property owner on this matter, and what I'd like to request is that we waive the late charge and collection fee and the accumulated interest, which would bring the total lien amount to $6,832.15. That's the total lien. That would be the, so I would like that 1A be amended so that the total lien amounts to $6,832.15, please.
Okay, so that'll be a motion, and that's seconded by Councilmember Wesson. So, okay, great. And with that, we can go ahead and vote on that item. So we'll go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That item is approved. Thank you very much. Do we have any other motion? Any other items before us?
Mr. President, council has motions for posting and referral.
Those will be posted and referred. Thank you very much. And colleagues, do we have any announcements? Looking around the horseshoe, we see none. Do we have an adjourning motions? Looking to my right, I see none. Looking to my left, we do. So if we can have everybody please rise in council chambers for adjourning motions. Are they adjourning? Excuse me, are you guys adjourning? We are adjourning, ma'am, yes. I'm sorry, sergeants, can you find out if you could talk to the sergeants on the side or in the back? Actually, if you can, we would really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, we had some problems with the system, so we went back to the manual, where they were entered in manually, and we do have two. We had a card. I just want to let you know. Is that Mrs. McFarland? Yeah, I want to let you know the card you put in. We just double checked it was for an item that public hearing had already actually been held. So I should have shared that with you, and that's why your name didn't appear directly on the screens, because we'd already had satisfied public comment in committee. Okay. We can't do this. We have to do it for everybody. So if you could explain it, the sergeants can explain it to you on the side. But if you fill out a card for public comment for an item that public comment had already been satisfied, it doesn't come here for public comment. It's at the committee level. Okay. And then we had one other. Ms. Love? Okay, colleagues, let's go ahead. We're going to go for general public comment for 1 minute for Ms. Love. For whatever reason, ma'am, you did fill it out correctly in the back, and it did not appear on the screens here. So we all apologize, and thanks for waiting and your patience.
Okay, I apologize also, but today is March 29th, just for my records, and I'm making a special appearance here. I'm not a constituent. I am a sovereign. Not a sovereign citizen. There's no such thing. This comes through the system a lot, but I'm a sovereign. That means I'm a sovereign under God. I'm like a mid-law between God's law and man's law. So I'm a mid-law. I'm not an outlaw, okay? And basically what I'm here for is to let you, I'm letting you know that in the morning I'll be doing an ex parte injunction followed by a breach of contract and a conspiracy, harassment, and negligence, all of which I'm willing to use the negotiating faculties that the mayor has placed in this, the police department has placed in, and I think that's a good program. I'm very happy to hear about it. I heard that over the radio. But I need to say that I have an RV, a motorhome is what you guys call it. I call it a sanctuary that was towed on March 1st. It was towed by an officer who...
Great, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. No, thank you very much. So that concludes your 1 minute of general public comment. I really appreciate it. So now we are going to please rise for adjourning motions. And if we can start off with Councilmember Bonin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I'd like us to adjourn today in memory of Yvette R. McFrazier. Yvette was a 40-year retired city employee who passed away last Monday after a long struggle with breast cancer. She started her career at age 17 in the office of Mayor Bradley, and then she served for many years as a council aide to Councilwoman Pat Russell, who represented the 6th District when it was back on the west side and including Crenshaw, where she helped in Crenshaw, Venice, and other parts of the west side. Yvette also served for 10 years in the office of the CLA and 13 years as executive secretary in the Information Technology Agency. She retired from city service in 2009. She leaves behind a beloved son and daughter-in-law, 2 daughters, 1 sister, 1 brother, 1 brother-in-law, 9 grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren, 2 nieces, 2 nephews, 2 grandchildren, and other close family members. Her homegoing service is going to be Wednesday, April 5th at 11 a.m. at Faithful Central Church in Inglewood. May she rest in peace.
Thank you for that. Colleagues, any other adjourning motions? Yes, Mr. Rue.
Thank you, Mr. President and colleagues. Today I'd like to adjourn our meeting in the memory of Kum Tam Kim, the mother-in-law of former Mayor of Irvine, Honorable Suki Kang. Ms. Kim was a loving mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother. She was regarded by all as an incredibly kind and thoughtful person who steadfastly devoted to her family. Ms. Kim was born on July 30th, 1931 in the city of Kimhae, Korea, and grew up in Daegu City. She graduated from Gyeongbuk Girls High School in 1950 and worked as a nurse during the Korean War. She married Suk Jae Choi in 1953 and had 2 children, Joanne and Dongwon. Ms. Kim ran a small business in Seoul until she immigrated to the United States in 1981. Following her arrival in America, she was baptized by Reverend Chi Young-Kae of Orange Korean United Presbyterian Church, which later became Orange Canaan Presbyterian Church, and served the church as a devoted deaconess. She later moved in with her daughter Joanne's family and her grandchildren Alan and Angie when they were in elementary school and helped raise the children through college. During her blessed life, she was able to see her grandchildren Alan and Angie and Anna get married and was even able to meet her grandson Kyle. She passed away at the age of 85 on March 15, 2017. Ms. Kim is survived by her daughter Joanne Kang and son Dongwon Choi, 4 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild. May she rest in peace. Thank you.
Mr. Kretz.
I'd like to get a microphone. There we go. I'd like to adjourn in memory of Chuck Berry, who was born in 1926 in St. Louis, the city he called home for most of his life. He also had a home in Los Angeles for many years as well. Chuck Berry was considered the poet laureate of rock and roll. He was a late bloomer whose recording career didn't really begin in earnest until he was 30, but once he got going, he really got going. His work for Chess Records defined basic rock and roll for all time. His guitar style and energetic stage presence created the blueprint for the dominant form of popular music of the second half of the 20th century. His run of legendary hits began with Maybelline in 1956 and included Sweet Little 16, School Day, Reelin' and a Rockin', Johnny B. Good, and many others that have been covered hundreds and hundreds of times. John Lennon was once asked what an alternate name for rock and roll might be, and he said Chuck Berry. Berry's lyrics were descriptions and observations of Americana like no other. In his song, The Promised Land, he sang, Los Angeles, get me Norfolk, Virginia, Tidewater 41009. Tell the folks back home it's the Promised Land calling and the poor boys on the line. The song chronicled the struggle of a young man trying to get to L.A. and he honored us by identifying our city as a place to aspire to. During his career, Chuck Berry was awarded a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award and a Kennedy Center honor, among many others. There's probably no one that had more of an influence on the development of rock and roll, and so more of an influence on all of us. Chuck Berry died Saturday, March 18th of natural causes at age 90. He's survived by his wife of many years, Toddy, and his children, Ingrid, Chuck Jr., Aloha, and Melody, as well as a body of work that will live forever.
Thank you very much for that. That concludes all the adjourning motions. Colleagues, that concludes this meeting. We are adjourned. Have a great rest of the day and be safe.
Perfect candidate.